Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a book haul of all of the books that I have acquired recently, whether they were so generously gifted to me by some of you all, or if I was just able to pick some up at local bookstores. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into this book haul because I have quite a few books to go over today. I'm going to start with those that were gifted to me because I'd really like to say a very, very special thank you to all of you who did gift a book to me. It is so incredibly generous of you guys to do that. I'm going to start with Kaylee Reads. A huge shout out to Kaylee Reads. When this package arrived, it truly made my day. I couldn't believe the generosity of you, Kaylee. Thank you so much. Kaylee sent me 4 books to congratulate me on the birth of my baby girl, and I am just blown away by the kindness. I can't thank you enough. So going through those books, she gifted me Blood Heir by Amelie Wenzel, which is one that I've been looking forward to for so long. It's a young adult fantasy. I've heard it's very dark. I'm so excited for this book. She also gifted me Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, this author's newest release. I read Daisy Jones and the Six last year, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. I also really enjoyed The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So she's quickly become an auto-buy author for me, and I will read anything that Taylor Jenkins Reid puts out. So Malibu Rising, her newest book, I'm so excited to get to. I've heard it's very similar in tone to Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo, so count me in. She also gifted me A Time of Dread by John Gwynne, which is the first book in the second Banished Lands trilogy. This trilogy takes place in the same world as The Faithful and the Fallen. I just finished the Faithful and the Fallen series last month and loved it so much. It's definitely one of my favorites of all time. So I was so looking forward to continuing on in this world and starting with A Time of Dread. I'm so excited to be getting to this book. And lastly, she gifted me Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie. I read the First Law trilogy and finished it this year, and I really, really enjoyed that trilogy overall. The characters are some of the best ever, so I'm so excited to also be continuing on in that same universe with Best Served Cold. I know that this is a standalone, but I believe that it has some cameos of characters from First Law trilogy that appear, so I'm so excited to be continuing on with Joe Abercrombie because I hear his work only gets better and better, especially leading up to the Age of Madness series. I've heard that series so far has been some of his best work, so I'm really excited to work my way up to that. So thank you again, Kaylee, so much, and it is so appreciated. Next, I want to give a huge thank you to Sharon for gifting me these 2 books that I'm so excited about. So the first being Reaper of Souls by Rena Barron, which is the second book in this Kingdom of Souls trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy. And I read the first book last month? No, I read it in April, and I ended up really enjoying it. I thought it was such a dark and twisted young adult fantasy with a lot of witch magic, and just the twists and the turns in it were crazy. It was constantly blowing my mind. So I'm so excited to be continuing on with this series. Sharon knew that I loved Kingdom of Souls and so kindly gifted Reaper of Souls to me. So yay, I'm so excited to get to this. And then the next book she gifted me was The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, which is one of my most highly anticipated releases of this year. I've heard really good things so far from early reviews. I've heard that this is very much a military fantasy. It's very political in nature. I'm really excited about this. I've heard the magic is quite toned down in this. It's not very heavy on the magic. It's much more political in nature. So that's something that I tend to really enjoy. So I'm excited to get to this. Thank you so much, Sharon. You are truly the best. And then a huge thank you to Katrina for so kindly gifting me An Echo of Things to Come, which is the second book in the Licanius trilogy. And she knew that I read A Shadow of What Was Lost last month and loved it and beat me to it by getting me the sequel, because I was going to go ahead and pick this up pretty quickly after finishing that first book because I loved how it ended. I was so hooked. That second half of this book, I have to continue on soon. So she surprised me and got me the second book. Thank you so much, Katrina. I truly can't tell you how much I appreciate it. The next book was gifted to me by my good friend Jessie from the Bookish Mom, whose channel I will link down below because I adore her and her channel. She's wonderful. Please go check her out. She so kindly gifted me Son of the Storm by Suyi Davies Ogunbowa, and this is another of my most highly anticipated releases of this year. This is one that, again, I've heard really good early reviews for. I'm so excited to get into this, what sounds like very high epic fantasy that follows a character who is this great scholar on the edge of greatness, except he doesn't want this life for himself. He stumbles upon this warrior wielding magic and sets off on a quest where he discovers a lot of secrets that have been kept from him about the city where he grew up in, and it sounds like whatever he discovers is kind of threatening to destroy his empire. So sounds great. Count me in. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Jessie. This next book is from my good friend Ina, who gifted me Graceling by Kristen Kishore, which is a young adult fantasy series that I have been wanting to try for so long. Years this has been on my TBR, and I finally have the first book. Thank you so much, Ina. I'm so excited to get to this. I've heard it is one of those classic YA fantasies that has a lot of the familiar tropes, but is really good. I'm so excited, and I love these new covers that they reprinted for this series. Look how stunning that is. So I'm so excited to finally have this so that I can get to the Graceling series. And then finally, we have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty that was so kindly gifted to me by Kate from the Literary Apothecary, whose, again, channel I will link down below because she's wonderful. She's one of my good friends from the Shelf Space Discord, so definitely go check out her channel. Oh my gosh, this is another one that has been recommended to me a ton, and I've heard just nothing but great things about, so I'm so excited to finally have this. The cover is so stunning for this series. Oh my god, I love these covers so much. Thank you so much, Kate, for this gorgeous book. I finally can say that I will be getting to City of Brass soon. I am so excited about it. So once again, thank you all so much for the generous gifts. It truly makes my day when I receive those surprises in the mail. Oh my god, it's just the nicest thing ever. So thank you. Moving on to books that I have bought on my own. I did pick up Ninth Reign by Jen Williams because Elle from Elliot Brooks, my good friend here on BookTube, has been recommending this one over and over again, and just whenever she talks about it, I'm always so sold. She says it's super weird, very unique. I'm really excited to try this one, and I love the covers for it. I mean, that is so stunning. So Elle, I'm super excited to try this on your recommendation, and hopefully I love it as much as she does. I also got The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman, the third and final book in the His Dark Materials trilogy. I read the first two earlier this year, last year, sometime, and I've been enjoying the series. It's not a new favorite or anything like that, but it's been fun, and I've heard that this third book gets pretty darn dark and deep, so I'm excited to see maybe if this is going to be my favorite one and will kind of bump up the rating of the entire trilogy for me, or if I'll continue to just kind of think like, yeah, it's pretty good. I also just love these editions so much for this series. These are all available on Book Depository, and also Blackwell's, I think, is where I got mine. I'm a sucker for shiny, beautiful covers. And then I also finally got my pre-order for The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which was actually the Shelf Space book club pick for last month. And I never received my pre-order in time because I really wanted the hardcover. And I'm so glad I got the hardcover because it's stunning. I love this cover, but it didn't come until like early June, so I didn't get to participate. But I'm still very excited to read this book. It is John Gwynne's first book in a totally new world that he's created that is very Viking inspired. I love John Gwynne. I've already talked about it. Faithful and the Fallen is so fantastic, so I will read anything John Gwynne writes at this point. So excited to get to this book. I also picked up Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which is the author of The Martian and Artemis. The Martian is one of my favorite books of all time, and I really enjoyed Artemis. I think I'm in the minority on that. I think most people didn't enjoy Artemis, but I actually really liked it. I had a ton of fun with that book. But The Martian is universally loved from what I've seen, and Project Hail Mary, I've heard from quite a few people that they like this even more than The Martian, which that's saying a lot. That's setting expectations really, really high. So I'm trying to still go in with reasonable expectations so that I'm not disappointed by this, just in case it doesn't end up living up to The Martian in my mind. But that is very high praise. So I am very excited to get to this one, hopefully very soon. I also picked up The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna is another auto by author for me. I've only read 2 of her books, and I don't know why. I need to read more Kristen Hanna because both of her books that I've read are all-time favorites. The Nightingale and The Great Alone are in my top 10 of all-time favorites. So I don't know why I haven't read more Kristen Hanna, because I adore her stories and her writing. So The Four Winds, I have no idea what this is about. Absolutely nothing. But I picked it up because it's got Kristen Hanna's name on it, and she writes stories that obviously automatically become favorites for me. So hopefully this follows that trend and becomes a new favorite as well. I also grabbed Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. First of all, this cover is one of the most beautiful covers on my shelf. It's so stunning. I could just stare at it all day. Anyways, this is a young adult mystery novel that has gotten amazing reviews so far. I have heard nothing but the most amazing things. So I'm so excited to get to this one. I've heard that the themes are very, very mature. I've heard that the characters are also very mature. I've heard that this does not necessarily read like a young adult novel. So I'm curious. I'm really excited to get to this. I also picked up Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is a nonfiction, and I don't really know if it's a memoir or if it's kind of just like lessons learned by this author, but I've heard such good things, and I've seen quotes kind of picked out from this book that were really stunning. So I really wanted to read it. I've been wanting to read some more nonfictions, so I think that this one I'm hopefully really going to enjoy. And finally, my husband surprised me with a couple of Barnes & Noble gift cards. I love getting Barnes & Noble gift cards because every time I do, I always get the collectible editions that are available at Barnes & Noble because I just think that they're so stunning. So I have quite a few Barnes & Noble collectible editions that I picked up. I'm going to start with Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. So this is one that I think I read really young. I don't remember really anything about this book, but I feel like I've read it. It's one that I would love to read to my daughter. That's going to be the trend with most of these books, is all of these are things that I want to read to her. So this is the first one I picked up, and I absolutely love this cover and the spine and the end papers. So pretty, and it is all illustrated. All of these are illustrated. They're so stunning. Also grabbed Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, which is another gorgeous edition that I love. Look at the fun spine and the back and the end papers. Oh, so fun. This is one that I've never read, but I know the story. Hopefully this is also going to be a fun one to read out loud to my daughter. The Call of the Wild by Jack London. This might be one of my favorite covers I think it's so cool. There's the spine and the back and the end papers. So fun. So another one that I definitely haven't read before, even as a kid, and I feel like it's one of those classic kids stories. So I'm excited about this one. Heidi. This one I know I read as a kid, and I feel like I remember loving Heidi. I don't remember much else besides that though. I just remember loving this book as a kid, and I love this edition. Look how cute she is. And there is the spine and the back, and then the end papers, pretty flowers. So yay for Heidi. I also grabbed Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, which also comes with James and the Giant Peach and Fantastic Mr. Fox. None of these I read as a kid. So again, I feel like this one's gonna be such a fun one to read out loud. I loved Willy Wonka and James and the Giant Peach, both of those movies as a kid. I would rewatch them over and over and over again. So I know I'm gonna love the books. I love these editions so much. Look at those fun papers, and then they're illustrated inside. So pretty. The last kids book that I got is The Complete Tales of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Another one that I have not read as a kid. I did not read these. So here is the spine with little Peter Rabbit and the back, so adorable. And then of course the big map on the inside is so stunning. I love that. So another one that I'm really excited to finally be reading. Then I got a couple classics that are not kids books that I hope to read soon. The first one being The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which I've heard is a really good classic for beginners to classics. Like if you aren't a huge classics fan, I haven't read a ton in my life, and I've heard that The Picture of Dorian Gray is a really good one to start with. So definitely going to read this one soon, and I just really love these editions. Another one is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Stories by Robert Louis Stevenson. So I picked up Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is another story that I know and I love, but I just never have read the book for. So now I have the book and I can read it, and look at that cool spine and the back. And then finally, last one is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which is a classic that I've had on my list for so long. It's another classic that I've heard is good for beginners to classics. So definitely want to read Frankenstein. I know the story, I just never read the book. There's the cool spine and the back and the end papers. How cool. So that is the book haul for these past couple months. Did you see any that you are especially excited for, that you've read before and loved or didn't like so much? Hopefully not, but leave those comments down below. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.